Then Joe Biden and Kamala Harris came around. Now our lives are that much more difficult and way more expensive. Under Biden-Harris, prices are high and expectations, well, they're low. Grocery prices are up more than 21%. Electricity is up 31%. Gas is up 48%. Mortgage rates have more than doubled, and rent is skyrocketing. To me, these aren't just numbers. This is pain for millions of Americans. It means that so many American families have to live with so much less. This is too high a price to pay for an administration that has brought us to such lows. The American people won't have the wool pulled over our eyes. We see how Biden and Harris keep making things worse. And we know the current president is not capable of turning things around.
Focusing on economic issues is correct strategy. She's still going with the I'm a regular mom thing, but toned down.
Our opportunity, our prosperity, our security, our safety, each diminished, all in decline, just like the man in the Oval Office.
So she gave this response to the State of the Union, and it was over the top. That's why she's toning it down.
Under President Trump, we had the strongest economy in history. That's right. You didn't need to go into debt just to make ends meet. Energy dominant, stable prices, secure borders, safe streets, strong families and communities. That's what Donald Trump will deliver.
Bring it back up. Yeah, her theater coach is like, okay, bring it back down.
The tough choice was which job offer to accept. Now, it's which second job to take just to pay the bills. Your family can't afford this costly and dangerous decline for 4 more years. 4 more years of Biden-Harris will impose a lifetime of financial damage on our children and our nation. It is time to return President Trump to the White House. Yes.
So Trump was considering her earlier before her bad speech.
And hard-working Americans first. With President Trump back in the White House, we will reawaken the exceptionalism of the greatest nation ever known.
So he was considering her because she's young and attractive.
We will defeat decline, dust off our dreams, and forge our future. Because families across our nation deserve better. Once again, America will be the land of limitless opportunity for all. And paving that path starts today. So let's roll up our sleeves, send President Trump back to the White House, and get America back on track. God bless.
All right, I think she's done. That's the Republican senator from Alabama. She was over the top ebullient in the State of the Union response. So she tried to tone it down, but that bubbly thing kept bubbling back up.
Yeah.
And our nation is in decline.
Pageant energy just can't be restrained.
Yeah, totally. All right, here comes Tim Scott, who's got to be pretty severely disappointed. And he's dropped to like Monday evening / afternoon here as a speaker.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Hello, Milwaukee. Are you ready for 4 more years? of Donald Trump? Oh, me too. Listen, if you didn't believe in miracles before Saturday, you better be believing right now.
Oh, that's a religious reference,
Thank
miracle.
God Almighty
That person died.
that we live in a country that still
callous.
believes in the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, the Alpha and the Omega.
He's kind of a doofus.
Yeah.
Like the energy is big doof energy.
Our God
Yeah.
still saves.
No offense, John, but
He
it's
still delivers.
preacher
And he still
meets Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, you're
Because
right,
on
actually.
Saturday,
I appreciate that part of it.
the devil came to Pennsylvania holding a rifle, but an American lion got back up on his feet and he roared.
I've never seen Tim Scott this energized before.
He
Scary.
roared.
Yeah. As John said, someone else died. So did God not care about them?
Yes, he
Person
did.
never got up again. He's like tech CEO with the yearly retreat energy.
This is a difficult time for our nation. Inflation is crushing families. Illegal immigration is crushing American workers. Failing schools and victimhood culture are crushing our poorest kids. And the weakness of the commander-in-chief has invited world wars all around our world. Joe Biden is asleep at the wheel and we're headed over a cliff.
And Donald Trump has
We
crushed all
hear
my dreams
despair
and my pride.
and the voices of a millennial couple raising 2 kids in a 1-bedroom apartment because they can't afford a house. We see pain on the faces of Gold Star parents because their
The ones he's
commander-in-chief,
feuded
Joe
with
Biden,
or other ones?
literally forgets their son died in uniform on his watch. America, we deserve better.
Donald Trump called up a widow of someone who died in a mission overseas and ended up getting in a screaming argument with her.
So much better. I was raised by a single mom in poverty. We had plastic spoons, not silver spoons. But she taught me to work hard, to take responsibility, and reject victimhood. Thank God for my wonderful mama. I know this is going to offend the liberal elites. Every time I say it, it offends them. But let me say it one more time. America is not a racist country.
No, that's the one that got a standing ovation.
Oh, yeah, no. He can see the audience.
Yeah. It's a 99% white audience clapping about how America's not
If you
racist.
were looking for racism today, you'd find it in cities run by Democrats. Look on the south side of Chicago. Poor black kids trapped in failing schools. Thousands shot every single year, including one of my former interns, Daquan. But there's good news. It's conservative values that restores hope. It's Republican policies that lifts people up.
Sounds like they can use
I
fewer guns,
partnered-
honestly.
I partnered
Sounds
with
like
the
there.
greatest president of my generation, President Donald J. Trump.
Whether it's too late, he didn't give you the VP.
On the biggest tax cuts ever for working people and single moms, and opportunity zones for neighborhoods that need them most. But Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they give illegal immigrants free hotel rooms, while our veterans while our veterans sleep on the streets. Disgusting, disgusting. Trump secured our border once, and Donald Trump will secure it again.
He also had millions of people cross the border illegally, undocumented. When he was president.
And he killed the border bill. And
This November,
this is all laughable.
we are not deciding simply the fate for the next 4 years. We're setting a course for the next 40 years.
Yeah, that's what each side says every time.
I see our heartland filled with huge American factories, powered by abundant American energy, building what America needs, creating generational wealth for blue-collar workers. You see, we are the Republican Party of Frederick Douglass and of Abraham Lincoln.
Are you?
Of Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump.
There's some degradation as the decades go by. Historical path.
4 more years. I love it.
Well, the 4 more years chant can be both for Trump here, but also an ironic one for Biden. Like they,
We'll hear it.
yeah, they might derisively chant 4 more years.
Of our leaders, we are also the party of a young woman in Wisconsin taking over her family farm, an Hispanic father.
Oh, I thought he was going to say it was pregnant and who we locked up.
In Nevada, and a black teenager in Philly starving for opportunity. We're not just the grand old party of the past. We are the great opportunity party of America's future.
They've been talking about opportunity zones for as long as I've been following politics.
And
so how's that working out for us?
There's only, hear me clearly, and there's only one person who can make that vision a reality. Donald J. Trump. God bless.
'Cause I love you.
America.
That was it. Yeah. These speeches suck.
Yeah, he's not very good either. But look, in his defense, in defense of both of them, they don't have to be good. This is the friendliest audience that you can possibly imagine. They're not trying to win someone over at a debate. This is friendlier than a rally. These people, like before you start speaking, they're quivering on the edge of an orgasm. Like the expectations are not super high for your speech. So why put a lot of time into writing it?
I don't know. Yeah, for yourself, because you want to stand out, right? And so look, the speech that everyone always mentions at these conventions, rightfully so, is Barack Obama's speech at the 2004 convention. That obviously was for John Kerry, the convention was, but Barack Obama gave a much longer speech. These ones that are earlier in the evening are shorter. The ones at night are much longer.
And he was the keynote.
Yeah, and so Tim Scott was theoretically on the last 4 possibilities for VP, but he got a crappy 4-minute speech or whatever that was that just happened here. So it's hard to be good in that short a period of time. Now, having said that, I try to leave a mark, right? And so now to be fair, nobody's Obama, right? That Audacity of Hope speech was the greatest speech I've ever seen at a convention, and I don't say that in hindsight now. That's literally what I said when we were doing play-by-play on it, just like now, right? And I wrote down and circled on my piece of paper where I was taking notes, Audacity of Hope, right? And
I wasn't doing the news at that time, but I was in a college dorm with friends, and I had followed politics, and I was blown away by that speech. I was like, this is my guy.
Yeah.
That didn't work out so well necessarily. But yeah, no, they're not gonna be like, do you know who the keynote is for this convention? Who are they trying to elevate?
Well, that's a good question. We'll look it up. Look it up. But they don't get to those kind of speeches until Wednesday and Thursday. That doesn't mean you shouldn't watch the Monday and Tuesday ones. There's always good juicy ones And I believe Kimberly Guilfoyle is going to blow out your ears a little bit later tonight. So she loves to scream in her speeches. We'll see if she tones it down a little bit like Katie Britt did. And it's interesting, Byron Donalds got a much bigger speech later at night, like the heavyweight speeches, than Tim Scott did. So apparently Tim Scott's star was kind of falling by the end.
Yeah.
And by the end, I noticed in the very, very last list, Byron Donalds was still on, but Tim Scott wasn't.
That's interesting.
So he apparently lost some favor. I don't know why, but
yeah. Katie Britt, I think, started off trying to sound like a human. It's just the exuberance is like, it's too much when you're talking about negative things, but you're smiling bigger than I've literally ever smiled in my life, including when my daughter was born. And that's just there's a weird distance there. But also, it's very clear that like Tim Scott was trying to be folksy and he was telling anecdotes. She was trying to talk about sort of macro trends of the Biden term, but it's clear that they saw what inflation was like and the border crossings were like in like December, January. And they just want to keep running as if the numbers haven't changed, as if the border crossings haven't dropped by more than a half, as if inflation isn't far more controlled. Like, and I get it, you're always going to run against an amplified version of what the status quo is. And like we have disagreed so vocally with Joe Biden a million times along the way, but the situation is just not the way they're presenting it right now. And then like you say that inflation is terrible, which it's still bad. So like, what's the answer? Historic tariffs on virtually every product that Americans buy. Like when you take a look at what she identifies as the problem, and then you look at what Donald Trump has proposed as solutions, it would directly worsen the situation. Tax cuts to millionaires and billionaires is not going to help people who can't pay for rent. I literally can't tell you what he has said he would do to get rent prices down or to control interest rates of mortgages. I don't think he's literally said anything about those things.
yeah, and there are smart things to do and not great things to do. Like Joe Biden just released a proposal to cap rent going up more than 5%. But that's price control, and in my opinion, doesn't work great in the long run. It creates other problems down the road. The correct way to go is to get private equity to stop buying the homes.
Yep.
Because that's the thing you can do, and that affects supply and demand tremendously. And eventually they have enough economic power to buy all the homes in America and actually just destroy wealth creation for the average American. But those guys are donors to both Joe Biden and Donald Trump. So you're not going to get the actual solution. You're either going to get no solution or a weak sauce solution from Biden.